Hello. Hello and good evening. And welcome back to another Wednesday Night Magic. I'm Clifford. I hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful night tonight. Tonight we're going to be featuring the Singleton format, more 60 card variety rather than the 100 card variety that we have featured in the past. Minimum of 60, maximum of, I think 250 is the most that you can put in a deck on Magic Arena. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what it is. So somewhere between the two. Tonight we're going to be featuring Skybilz and Roguelink. They each have a couple of decks. We're going to see them bash them against each other. Then who knows? Who knows what else is going to happen? Looks like Skybilz is playing to start a Rakdos deck that has 24 lands, 6 planeswalkers, 60 cards, but only one of each. That's the beauty of the Singleton format, everyone. Outside of basic lands, you can only have one copy of any given card in your deck. It ups the variance even more and makes for building some really fun combinations of things. So, looks like we're going to be getting started very shortly. Oh, there's also a Gruul Singleton on Skybilz's side. Look at this. I see Ghalta. Imagine Skybilz playing Ghalta. No way. No way. So we're going to see Sky start with Gruul Singleton. And Roguelink is going to be playing something, presumably. So, we're just waiting for them to get started, and we will have magic on the screen. Now, maybe Singleton's not your format. Maybe you're more of something more traditional. Next week things will come back to the standard format. We'll have standard for one more week before GDQ. GDQ, we're going to take the week off here. But instead, we're going to be doing some fun things there at GDQ. Oh, we have some mismatch options. Getting reset. Settings are confirmed, I think. Well, they might be. Making sure everybody's in the right thing. Yep, there we go. Success! We have magic coming to us. I'll get back to the GDQ stuff here shortly. I guess while we're waiting on mulligans, yeah, we're going to be doing some kind of events there. I know I'm going to be taking a couple of boxes to booster draft. So if you're at GDQ, you want a booster draft, come find Clifford. But let's get into this. We have a Domri, an Argabolas, and a Druid of the Cal, and 5 lands. It's a hand I've seen before. In Singleton, you might want it. Sky wants it. Alright, it looks like we have Gruul on Roguelink's side too. Except with plays. In this case, we're going to see Fanatical Firebrand coming down to attack for 1 on turn 1. And it's just an instant clock. So, While Roguelink's side has a bunch of small things that can get out on the board quicker, Sky has the benefit of the Druid of the Cal and the Spellbreaker that just are going to be a little bit bigger as they come down. Now, the Domries won't quite cancel each other out because they're not +1/+1. They're only +1/+0, but there's all sorts of good things there. Ooh, and the Bombard clears out the Druid of the Cowl right out of the way. Now the Spellbreaker is going to be a 4/4, and Roguelink probably be wishing that he had that Bombard for that Spellbreaker.
Duels offer posh knobs. Let's just fight.
Now Domri
Heads is my bread and butter.
going to make a Grim Initiate possible. Domri, if Roguelink can protect the Domri, next turn we'll be able to cast Phoenix. Otherwise, we'll not be able to because of the double red. Meanwhile, Captain Lannery coming down on Sky's side. That's a nice top deck. Because that's exactly what Sky needs, is more mana.
If you think I'm a crazed beast, where do you see my mates?
So the fight is going to break out. Thinking it's a hockey game or something.
We are the many.
Now the Spellbreaker, with the 1 toughness, won't attack. Grim Initiate first strike could just eat it. Don't want that. That's never good.
The only authority that I recognize is chaos.
And there is that Rekindling Phoenix. Ooh, and 2 attacks to the Domri.
I'll be back after I lick my
Spellbreaker.
wounds. You'll see.
Not going to block one at all. Ooh, Sky now with her own Rekindling Phoenix. Phoenix and Captain Lannery together. Decisions. The crowd waits with bated breath. 2 attacks coming in at the Domri. Can block one of the creatures.
I'm starting to get miffed now.
And Roguelink has drawn the Rhythm of the Wild. And another land for Skybills. That's not what you want to see. More
I've
plus
lived
ones
with
on the
animals my
Domri.
entire life. Explains a lot, actually.
Not that Sky's running any counter spells, but you always want to have the ability to make sure that your creatures aren't getting countered. And extra mana is always good. In this case, also having Riot. The Phoenix will trade with the Phoenix. They will. There they are. Two Phoenix tokens. Ooh, Demanding Dragon on Skybill's side. That will turn the Grim Initiate into an army. Roguelink slowly amassing zombie tokens. Now it's a land off the top for Roguelink, getting a taste of the Skybill side. Oh, and it's gonna get the counter because it already has haste. No need to give the Phoenix double haste, right? It's already hasty. Oh, and Sky gonna throw the Demanding Dragon in front of it. We will find out if there's an easy way. Ooh, a fight is breaking out.
Oh, there'll be nothing but dust left when I'm done.
We're gonna see a 3-3. Oh no. Oh, Roguelink. Roguelink, no.
Would you like to see what's left of Sky?
It didn't really matter.
For the Fallen.
Oh, a thud. But Sky wants that Incubation Druid. Has plenty of mana to adapt. Should be good times. The Elemental becoming a Phoenix again. Oh, and the J is greeting. That's gonna do it. Roguelink will take game one. Moving straight into game two. And oh no, Skybill's already down to 6 cards. Well, it looks like Roguelink with the instant keep on his side. And top decked a Forest 2 to be able to play that Llanowar Elf. Sometimes lucky. Lots of removal in hand as well. An attack for 1, and then more small creatures. Sky answering with a Goreclaw. That's if the Goreclaw can live, which it probably won't. We're gonna yep. I'm gonna see the Bombard removing the Goreclaw from play. 3 more damage. And a Spellbreaker coming in at a 4-4.
When people start screaming, I know I'm.
This is just gonna be bad for you.
So, Sky playing the Chandra. Staring down 10 damage. And it looks like all 10 of that damage doesn't care about Chandra. Coming straight across. And this is not looking good.
Light it up!
It's not looking good for Sky. And that will do it. Roguelink will take game 1, 2-0. GG's to Roguelink for game 1. So, that ends the Gruul Mirror match. Roguelink taking it 2-0. We'll see what they both have cooked up for game 2. Match 2, really. Getting them, gave them the thumbs up, literally. We will be getting started. Oh, it wasn't Rakdos. We were debated. It's Selesnya Conclave. Ooh. And this is the deck that Skybills used in the event. Oh, and we found more options mismatches. It must be Wednesday. But we'll get it sorted. And get game 2 underway. Skybills again electing to play first. Ooh, a Karn's Bastion. Look at that. That's a spicy card right there. And what is this? I love it. I love it. Meanwhile, over on Roguelink's side, Orzhov. Ooh. All sorts of fun things happening here. Amara is such a great card. When she taps, you get to make a token. Nothing.
It's nice to meet
Oh.
you. Share in my strength.
Now, not only does she make a token when she taps, you can tap her for mana. What a wonderful combo. That's amazing. Oh, now unfortunately Sky is stuck on 3 lands, but that Amara with the +1/+1 counter on it can tap for mana because, you know, reasons. And make a token. That's so good.
Teamwork,
Decisions.
Strength.
The Ferox finally getting the extra counter. Now Roguelink can get rid of the Nullhide Ferox with the Tribunal because of Convoke. Convoke, awesome mechanic. So glad it came back. It's one of my all-time favorites. It's like not as good as Storm, but nothing's as good as Storm. Oh, and a land. Now, that means that the Karn's Bastion could proliferate. But why would you do that? There's so many other good plays. Like, let's play Gods. Gods are better. And, you know, we're just one more card away from another god. Except not really, because, you know, it's just Tide Taker. So Roguelink with some lifelinking hasting guys, some other lifelinking, and then a guy with Afterlife. Just a whole team of, you know, smaller things steering up at gods. And angels. Gods and angels together. poor token. Just jumping up in front of the attack from the God Eternal and just that's it. Revenge. The revenge half from Roguelink not needing to revive today will just steal half of Sky's life and double his own. Second God comes into play, and you know, team buff comes down. The double block. But a double block will not save Roguelink from the Alpha Strike. -1. Math is for blockers. So for game 2, Roguelink will be on the play. Looks like Roguelink has also had to mulligan. But a bunch of 2-drops and a Spark Harvest, so can sacrifice some of these things for value. Now the bow, what can you say about the bow? It just takes over games if you let it. You can't let it take over the game. Now I don't know if... Yes, Skybills as in the GDQ commentator. Very much the same. So Roguelink gonna Tribunal the bow. Not gonna let the bow take over the game. So we now have a Jadelight Ranger exploring twice. Didn't need the evolution stage, but the Shalai a little better. Jadelight Ranger, Ob Nixilis, done with that. No need for Jadelight Ranger to be around anymore. Another swing of attacks. The Voice of Plenty coming out for Skybills, the Doom Dissenter sacrificing itself. I mean, it was doomed. You knew it was in the name. Is doomed to be sacrificed to that spell to take down another angel. Goreclaw gonna make another appearance for Skybills. There are decisions, and a sacrifice. Gets through the Goreclaw. We get a spirit from the afterlife. And Roguelink hopes to draw planes. You know, the Knight of Autumn, Nullhigh
The wild
Ferox,
wasn't meant to be contained.
and the Prison Realm, all still in Sky's hand.
You
Lots
can
of good
still
gas
walk
there.
away.
All castable. Roguelink with the oops attacking into the Druid of the Cow with Reach. Oh, and the Prison Realm coming down. Oh, and Sky hoping to get the Tribunal with the Prison Realm, but it's only for creatures and planeswalkers. So the token will go away forever.
All things begin and end in nature.
Look at that awesome card style on that incubation gate. That's super cool. Someone who loves foils, like the styles are great. I love them.
Tear it down! Tear it all down!
So a Ripjaw Raptor and the Ooze, both hiding out for Sky. Now, this is where you get rid of the Tribunal. With the Knight of Autumn, out comes the bow. And suddenly, Skyville's side looking a little better. But Rogue Link getting the god on the field. And at 24 life. We'll have to see how he can respond. Not a bad position to be in with an Oketra on the field. And a Leonin War Leader and a Seraph of the Scales. All of those are really good cards. But Sky just has an army.
I've seen puppies whine less than you.
I mean, I don't think I've been whining that much, but okay. Whatever you say, Vizian. Alright, the Seraph of the Scales. Has flying, but the Vivian grants reach. And now the Druid is incubating. Everything on Sky's side of the field just getting a little bigger. And bigger. Somebody's getting Vigilance and Reach. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be the Ferox.
Have you ever lost a home?
X equals 6 for the Arcbow. With Vivian on the field, we find a Resplendent Angel. That seems good. Resplendent Angel's a good card. Well, it was a good card. It was a good card. It was cast down into the pits. Wasn't consigned to the pits. That's a totally different card. Alright, the Ferox is going to meet the Seraphs of the Scales. And Rogue Link did not elect to give it Death Touch. Would rather play the War Leader. Which I guess is fine, because you get other things.
You realize I do not stand alone.
No, there's a Vivian right next to you, Johnny. Yes, we realize. Look at all these creatures. Like, I feel like it's
Starting
pretty
over
well
is the only
established that you're not alone. These planeswalkers, man. Alright, so 3 life for Sky.
Now, do you see the benefits of peace?
Rogue Link has 2, 4, 6, 7 creatures, and a Cruel Celebrant, which can, you know, deal damage to things when they die.
Let me lead the charge into darkness.
So, now it's all decisions.
Prepare for battle!
The War Leader is going to become indestructible. That's a great play from Rogue Link. Because now, even if you block it, it's going to have tokens. Oh, and Sky's gonna draw some cards. And the Celebrant will drain for 2. And now the Trostani Discordant. Like, everything is bigger on Sky's side, including some more lifelinky soldiers. The swings back and forth. We find a Merfolk Branchwalker with the bow this time. Is it a treacherous Dryad that's going to stay on top? It certainly appears so.
Let me show you what was lost.
Skybill's side of the board is so big that, like, you can't keep most of it straight. There are some oozes. There's a Knight of Autumn still out there. A Ripjaw Raptor.
Me.
Lots of things. Most of them small. Fortunately, that Cruel Celebrant coming up big time. Oh, and an Imperious Oligarch. Which is going to make another token for Roguelink. There's so much math. Oh, and the lifelinky tokens are coming in. Oh, and the War Leader died. No need to make it any indestructible if you wanted to drain for 1, I guess. Yes, do not be fooled by the size of the icons on the screen. Those are lots of large monsters. And elves and merfolk. So a lot of power. And with Roguelink only having, what, 9 creatures. Sky Mike could make an attack here.
There is wonder in a blade of grass.
We were not destined to fight.
Oh, and we're going to see some attacks towards the Gidgeon. Oh, thinks twice about the Knight of Autumn. We have 3 attacks. Oh, goodbye,
Bravery
Gideon.
wasn't enough.
We see 2 Cruel Celebrant triggers and an Afterlife. Sky falls to 9. Nope. He was attacking Ajani. Thinks better of it. Instead, just passes the turn. Well, hello, Lyra. Lyra's pretty good. That's so many creatures for Skybills. 2 rows we've found.
You fight like a city brat.
Hey, another god.
Light shall always conquer darkness.
Will it, Ajani? Seems like a good outlook to have on life. So now, with infinite creatures, Rogalink has to figure out how to block. And there's some first strike damage. And some regular damage. And Rogalink goes from 36 to negative 31. It's a lot of damage. The walls, the earth, everything is shaking. And yes, that Trostani Discordant. You know, Discord's the thing I'm looking at. Coming out with those beautiful life-linking soldiers that, along with the Ajani, gave Skybills the 2-0 win. Trying to see, since they each won one, I'm gonna see if they'll play another one. Let them get one last game, and for all the marbles, Sky won one, Rogalink won one. All right. They are getting set up, should be ready to start. One more, very short. And yes, next week we're going to play Standard. It will be Standard here again. And the week after that will be SGDQ, which will be a week off here online. But if you're at GDQ, come see me and we'll draft or something. It'll be fun. I'll definitely also have EDH. Commander. It'll be good times. So be sure, if you're going to get in the Discord, check out the GDQ Plans channel, where we'll be doing things. Yeah, I can't wait for SGDQ. I'm so excited. Anyway, we're going back. Game 3, match 3 for all the marbles. Skybills versus Roguelink. Let's get started. All right. Skybills immediately with, a Paradise Druid, an Arcbow, a Zhang Yang Yu, and an Issa. That's a lot of Planeswalkers. Now, Roguelink on the Gruul deck again. Each taking what they won with. Imagine, what a thought. Paradise Druid does get immunity from the Firebrand to start. Skybills electing to block. As soon as you tap it next turn anyway, you're just gonna watch it get pinged by the Firebrand. So might as well save yourself the 1 life if you're not really intending to use it all that much. Now the Rekindling Phoenix on Roguelink's side, along with a Demanding Dragon and a Natali. Which Natali just, does dumb broken things. You can attack.
Diversity of life on I will help you through this.
Alright. So we're got a beefed up Llanowar Elf, but I don't know if that Llanowar Elf will be able to tap for any color mana for another turn or not. Rekindling Phoenix might try to take out the Planeswalker here with no blocks. No, instead, more focused on the life total. Which that's reasonable. That's a 9 in the air over there.
Seek shelter in my stewardship. Behold,
This guy needs something.
Power.
Otherwise, we're going to see a bunch of flying creatures take her to 1.
Be your best self.
No attacks from the land into all the things. Oh, and that Domri is just going to end it. Oh, well, we're not going to see the Domri. We're going to see the fun plays instead. Unfortunately, does not appear Skybills is going to be able to stop the Flyers. Even without the Domri's help.
Rise, my elemental friend.
Decisions. Yep. Out comes Galta, and then we'll see the concession. Unfortunately, those Flyers just too strong on Roguelink's side. We'll be getting into game 2 immediately. No sideboards for either of these players. 4 lands, a god, Finale of Devastation, and an Evolution Stage. It's not a bad hand on Sky's side. Meanwhile, Roguelink down to 6 cards, 2 lands, some Jaya spells, and a Dreadhorde Champion that might be able to be played eventually. Ooh, that Lava Coil. Nice removal on Roguelink's side. Opting with the Jaya's reading at instant speed, and the Scry is important. The dragon egg. With Riot. Nothing like a 1/3 dragon egg. It's a really well designed card. Like, I love the flavor of it. Oh, Tolsomer. Hello, Tolsomer. Decisions. Skyville's opting not to attack. Doesn't want to give Rogalink that dragon. So instead we're going to see the Dreadhorde champion come down. He's got a lot of text on him. Skybills looking through, finding a Lyra on the field. So not a bad answer to the Neheb. What's that? A boar. The big boar. And a summon. Who can make things bigger, give them haste.
Initiate, you are not worthy.
And, you know, scry a little bit.
My blades will always strike true.
So, now with the damage dealt, Rogalink can discard cards to draw cards and add red mana. Didn't spend the red mana on anything, but it was there. And we'll be able to play the boar next turn also. Or with a +1/+1 counter, because it, you know, you don't need to give it haste twice with the
Beasts
riot.
are much more reliable than humans.
No need for double haste. It's not a rocket-powered turbo slug.
Sometimes rest. Let's do
Okay,
this
well,
again.
Now, suddenly, it doesn't get the counter because there's no more
There is
rhythm.
much to learn from symbiotic relationships. We'll do this together.
Lyra going to take down Samu and
I
gain
have
Skybill's
witnessed
6
enough
life.
destruction already.
The big pig comes down and just kind of looks.
The wilds are my shield.
Carnage Tyrant. The insta click on Skyside. Yeah, you're just gonna throw that Carney T on the board. I want another Vivian. All of the Vivians. And the Carnage Tyrant that
Share
can
in
now
my
tap
strength.
for 1 mana of any color. It's the best use of a Carnage Tyrant, in my opinion. Anytime you can tap your 8/7 for 1 blue mana, you're doing it right. That blue mana is
You
important.
call it anarchy. To me, the only authority that I recognize is chaos.
Well, you know what they say. Chaos is a ladder. Or at least it was until a couple of weeks ago. That Carnage Tyrant gonna block the Boar God. We see lots of things along with a lightning strike. Lots of things have died. The boar will go third from the top on the library.
I've seen things that would break someone like you.
And now Skybills has drawn her second dodge. Again.
How this thing goes is up to you, pal. Wait, you think nature is kind?
I don't think it's up to me, Vivian, again. Vivian keeps calling me out. Look at all those beautiful stained glass tiles. If you've been playing the events, you can also get all these plain stained glass tiles. This week is the Singleton event.
I'm not finished.
Funnily enough,
Not by a long shot.
if you want to get some of the styles this week, then go look at some of these awesome Singleton decks for inspiration, and get out there and make it happen. Because they look really good. I love some of the like normal styles, but the stained glass just looks so pretty.
I will teach you humility if I must turn
We have
back
4
while you
planeswalkers
can.
on Skyville's side, along with 7 creatures. 7, 8 creatures now? Yeah, a lot of creatures. There's a lot of stuff going on Sky's side of the board, and not as much stuff going on Roguelink's side. And yep, that Lyra, Baneslayer, Angel will yeah. So, with that, Skybills is looking at 2 lands and an Incubation Druid, which can tap for mana. Roguelink's looking at 2 lands and a Llanowar Elf. Lots of risk in both opening hands. All it takes is 1 removal spell, but Skybills finds another land off the top, nice and easy, just like you drew it up.
Oh, I look
Turn 2
forward to
Domri.
seeing you.
Gonna get to play the Grim Initiate, just like Roguelink drew it up. Look at this. 1 game 3 for all the marbles, and decks are performing like you would want them to. Fortunately, Roguelink 1 red mana away from
Let the blighters feel the ground tremble.
using that Domri to make the Llanowar Elf fight the Incubation Druid. That may just be the play of the game right there. Could not use the Domri to make a Chain Whirler appear, so instead use the Domri to fight. A lightning strike is called down out of the sky.
Oh, have at it, boys.
Domri just +1s to +1. The sky is now down to 14 life. With a couple of 2/1s sitting on Roguelink's side. And a decision to make. Not really. Like, yes, you can play the Goreclaw here, or you can play the Gateway Plaza and cast anything else next turn. Tolzamir next turn would be really good.
What's that? Something smells rotten. Wait, that might be me.
Oh yeah, the Llanowar Elf, despite also being able to attack, can also tap for mana, which gives Roguelink that Siege Gang Commander. Siege Gang Commander is going to trade with Foja, though. Foja, the best. And the Lava Coil will trade with the Tolzmer. And then Sky is going to take 10 and go to 5.
I was raised by wolves, though they might have also just been big dogs.
And we're going to see an Ooze and an Elf.
Oh, I wish you could see your face when I've beaten you.
You know, Goblin Chain Whirler is a card that exists. It's easily castable. And that, friends, will do it. Roguelink coming through with the Goblin Chain Whirler, chain whirling. And that will end the battle of Roguelink versus Skybills. 2-1 in Game 3. 2-1 overall. Roguelink takes it tonight. GG's to both of them. We'll try and get them in here to talk about things here in a second. Why not? Yeah, Chain Whirler. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Chain Whirler is so good. 3 red mana. Hello.
Hello, hello.
I'm joined by Roguelink, the winner of tonight's exhibition 2 out of 3 thing that we just did.
Yeah, those were some really fun games. I was not expecting the mirror round 1 at all.
I wasn't either. Like, okay, so Skybills was showing off this Rakdos deck. This Rakdos Singleton deck.
Right.
And I'm talking about it like, oh, this is going to be fun. I wonder what Roguelink's playing. And then immediately, right before game starts, it's just bait and switch. Now I'm playing Gruul Singleton now. And like, oh man. Sky got me good. Speaking of Sky, we have Skybills here as well, joining us.
I think, honestly, just because of the way the Vancouver mulligan works, you could tell right away who was going to win the majority of those matches by the opening hand. I was thinking about it during Game 3, Molt throwing back that hand, because if Roguelink had nothing but removal, I was done, which it looked like his deck did have a lot of removal in it. But with the way the Vancouver mulligan works currently, I couldn't see myself drawing a hand where it would be more in my favor having -1 card with what I had. And yeah, I mean, it was a great set of games. I just wish Game 3 would have been a little more back and forth.
Yeah, that last Game 3 was pretty straight, and I was definitely ramping into the sun there. Like, I had some real good opening hands today.
Yeah, round 1, I couldn't get anything going with my Gruul deck, just nothing. I actually do, much like your deck, have a lot of stuff that's low to the ground, but I just couldn't draw any of that. I kept drawing all my high-costed stuff. Game 1, it was nothing but lands that I drew against you with the Gruul on Gruul matchup, and then Game 2, I couldn't draw any lands. So that one, I was a little disappointed in that one. And then for this one in Game 3, again, it was a really questionable keep for me, but all I could see was myself mulliganing with the way the Vancouver mulligan works and not getting any lands then. So it was a tough decision.
Yeah, it was definitely weird for me too, because we cracked open tournament mode and we started the first round, and I mulliganed and I'm like, oh, right. I should have kept that last hand.
Yeah, it's funny how the different types of mulligans will influence this game. I do feel like the London Mulligan is very welcome and can at least prevent some non-games from happening, which I do feel like, well, we had a good game, it was very visible. You know, the field was full of creatures, there was a lot of back and forth on life total. Like, when I was facing your Orzhov deck, I felt like there was a ton of that in all the matches in that one. But with the Gruul, it was just, with either of us having Gruul for that matter, it was kind of predictable to see where the matches were going to go. And I typically don't get that vibe off of Commander either, honestly, but that may be because most Commander matches I've seen have used the Partial Paris rule, which is kind of similar to a more telling mulligan than the Vancouver. It's not quite the London Mulligan, but it's a good mulligan system. So,
right.
Kudos to Wizards for changing the mulligan system for sure.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the London Mulligan with the Singleton event that was going on this last week.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple different mulligans as well, like the Canadian Highlander, which is another 60-card Singleton format that I follow a lot of. I can't remember what they call it. They're also considering adopting the London Mulligan, but they do second 6. So they do 7, draw 7, and then you do a 6 and a second 6, and then a 5 and a second 5. But with the Vancouver Scry.
That's a tough one. That would be an interesting one to see as well. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with tournament play with that the way I feel about the London Mulligan, but honestly, it is everything sounds like an improvement over the Vancouver Mulligan right now. And I used to love the Vancouver Mulligan, but I think that's only because there was no special Mulligan rules before Vancouver, and it was just you're out of luck if you didn't get anything.
Yeah. And I think our Gruul decks definitely heavily favored who went first as well. Like with both of my decks tonight, when I was going first game 2, I felt way more confident in what my deck was going to do. Because if I was going second, I needed like 2 good turns of ramp and be playing a 4-drop on turn 3. Otherwise, I could get away with, a normal curve for a normal deck.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by the amount of removal in your deck. I think that's what the point of your deck was. I didn't anticipate your deck being as low to the ground in terms of mana cost as it was. I thought it would be a lot like my Gruul deck, which is more of a stompy variant almost.
Yeah, so my deck's a little weird. Basically, there's some removal. There's not a ton. You just happen to see a lot of it. Like, I think I drew almost all of my removal against you with the Gruul deck.
I felt like I was playing against RDW. Like, that's how much removal I felt like I was seeing through the games.
So this deck is my mono red, big pig, except with mana dorks instead.
Yeah, that's what I did with mine. So I guess then I really did just see all of your removal because I felt like it. I'm like, okay, no removal exists, but dang, that's a lot I was noticing.
Yeah, you were definitely getting even in the Orzhov matchup, like I felt like I was wearing the control hat, even though I do not build control.
Yeah, that is kind of what it felt like. I felt like once my deck got rolling, it did not stop rolling. That's why I put the Arc Bows and the Vivians and everything in there, because I would prefer when I play Magic to not leave much up to chance, because as you see what chance does to me very commonly, both not just tonight, but in other nights.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I'm just saying, leaving the least amount up to chance as possible is the way I've been preferring to play lately.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, especially in Singleton, I try to find, 5, 6 cards that do the same thing or something similar, and then go from there. Like, I have 6 mana dorks, 5 or 6 bits of 2 or 3 drop red removal, big pig, and 5 or 6 4 or 5 drops with ETB effects for big pig to play with. Woof.
Nah, you're good.
English.
But
is
yeah,
hard
like
language.
Like, my deck cannot beat Lyra. Like, my Gruul deck cannot beat Lyra. So when Lyra came down so quick in game 2, I was like, well, I can't win this. But I've got the 6-drop Dino in hand, and the Big Pig, and the other dude. So I'm just gonna swing in, and I'm gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, I do feel like Lyra is a stupid powerful card in any format and can just turn the momentum of a game around on a dime. And that's why I kept rooting through my deck for Lyra, because it seemed like whenever I got her out, she did a lot of good things. But I think the real MVP, after all the matches I've had with you in my deck in the Selesnya build, was Gift of Paradise. Every time I saw it, things started going my way after that.
Yeah, just a little bit of ramp is always really nice whenever you're playing green. Even if you're not like heavy ramp, like I'd say my Gruul deck is very heavy ramp. But if you're just, for lack of a better term, splashing ramp,
yeah,
it's super easy to do with green, and you just get some of that momentum going that you don't really get from any other color.
Well, that also goes for draft as well. So if anybody's drafting, if you want to play something and even remotely think about splashing something, if you have a green base, it's entirely possible. And that goes for something like Singleton as well, where it's very hard to predict what types of scenarios you're going to end up in. And I do feel like, too, after thinking about your deck as well, building for a 100-card Singleton and building for a 60-card Singleton is entirely different. You may think to yourselves, well, duh, because that's a lot less cards. But it really is. It makes those decisions that much more difficult, and it makes the curve something that really needs to be analyzed in a 60-card Singleton format. Because think about it. When else do we play Singleton? Commander. If you've ever played any kind of tabletop, you could kind of take a chance on a couple of cards. I feel like in 60-card Singleton, you can't leave as much to the imagination.
Yeah, I definitely get that opinion as well. But just with any 60-card deck, I generally take the same approach, where I consider my deck to not have 60 cards, but to have 9 cards. 9 different effects, and then 24 land, and then I'll tweak from there. It's just a little more awkward in Singleton, because instead of having 4 of the same card, you need, instead of having, 4 Llanowar Elves, I'm going to have a Llanowar Elf, that 2/1 hexproof, the 0/2, and the 1/2, or the 1/3, and then just toy with it from there.
I really feel like, though, where we saw Magic at its best tonight is when we got the ridiculous board states, because that is something you really don't get to see in current Magic that I very much miss, are the complicated board states. That is where games are won and lost on the most intricate decisions to do things. So going back to me using Vivian, not to search, but to give myself vigilance, because I knew you had me on that Celebrant on the field. And I could have gotten rid of that Celebrant a while ago, but I was trying again to take down your two powers, so getting rid of that zombie, for instance. I knew it wasn't going to come back, and I got to scry. There was a lot of decisions I could have made there, and I think it was either the zombie or your removal to my arc bow, but no, actually I used Night of Autumn to take that out. That's another instance where I could have gained life to be more comfortable, or I'm trying to look more further out, and if I can reach my Lyra in my deck after stabilizing, I'll be fine. And that's exactly what happened. Lyra and Tristani there. So again, I do feel like some of the best Magic is played on that type of battlefield. You have 2 people going at it in current standard Magic, and it's who goes first, who hits Teferi on turn 3, when does Chain Whirler get played. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a more simple format right now. It's, getting those power cards out, going first, and there's not too terribly much more to it, is there? Mono White goes off where it doesn't. I mean, I'm hoping that Core 2020 changes the face of Standard a little bit, though. It certainly does need that change and mix-up. And I wanted to ask you all real quick here, Chout, and of course, Clifford and Roguelink, what do you all think about the fact that Planeswalkers will again be offered at an uncommon and rare in Core 2020, not just at the Mythic setting? That's very confusing to me. I think it's a little soon after Word of the Spark, but I wanted to get everybody else's opinion on that.
Well, they said it was only going to be for Chandra, right?
I'm not sure about that.
Like I heard this morning from someone that they said that Chandra was going to be the only planeswalker that had 3 copies. So I don't know if that affects the other planeswalkers at different rarities or not. But but
I know for me, I'm totally on board with planeswalkers being at uncommon just more commonly, because it gives them a lot more design space to play with, you know? Like planeswalkers pretty much have to be, or before they pretty much had to be these massive bombs that you had to deal with and you really didn't have much of a choice. And even in draft, you know, a lot of people would just consider them unfair in certain like tabletop drafting Magic. But now they have the ability to make just planeswalkers fancy enchantments, so they don't have to be these absolutely nuts bombs. They can just do neat things with the design space. So I'm totally on board with it.
On the note of the design space as well, as we know soon, this fall, sagas are going to be rotating out. And I've been a huge fan of sagas, all right? Specifically, History of Benalia and Eldest Reborn in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Have been some of my favorite sagas. So you can't help but wonder, are these planeswalkers going to be filling that void that's going to be created once sagas rotate out? And then another thing to think about is, will these planeswalkers help or hurt the fact that I at least feel like we are on a kind of one extreme or the other kind of standard? You're either on that control side or you are on that hyper aggro side, and I don't see a lot of the in-between doing anything right now. You either have the Dreadhorde control, the mass manipulation control, the traditional Esper control versus mono blue, mono red, and mono white. And if you're anything in between, you kind of are almost at a disadvantage considering. So we have to think about where Standard's going from here. Now, Limited, I like what you said about Limited, Rogue Link. The fact that those Planeswalkers are available at different rarities, that's a really good thing. It kind of levels out the playing field, if you will. But then we have to think not only about the Limited format, but what kind of impact that's going to have on Standard. So a lot of things to think about going forward. What are some changes you would like to see in Standard going forward? Again, we don't have too much to go off of with Core 2020 right now, so I want to get your thoughts as to what you want to see with Core 2020 coming out, and then with the Dominaria and Ixalan rotating out this fall.
I'm not so sure about what I'm looking for with 2020, because there's a pretty, even if they're not all tier 1, there's still a pretty wide variety of decks that maybe aren't like tier 1 viable, but are still pretty fun to play. And I think what I'm kind of looking forward to for rotation is that I think because there's just so many sets in Standard right now, every single extreme is getting hyper optimized. So mono white's getting hyper optimized, RDW's getting hyper optimized, control is getting hyper optimized. So since you have so many cards, and kind of going back to the 9, you just pick the 9-10 best cards, and you just end up with these crazy good decks. Explore rotating out, that's going to be interesting. Just a lot of mechanics as a whole that are rotating out entirely, like Treasure, for instance. Treasure's also rotating out, with the exception of Tithe Taker, I think, which is the Orzhov card. But I'm
the Smothering Tithe.
That's it. Smothering Tithe.
Smothering Tithe. Yeah.
So long and short, I'm real curious to see how decks hold up after rotation, to see what 2020 and the new set bring to the battlefield that make up for all the cards that we're losing.
Yeah, I like what Chad is saying here too, in particular about the Explorer package, because the Explorer package makes so many decks that normally would not be viable right now. The very thought of the Explorer package going away and Command the Dreadhorde being as strong without that massive amount of life gain, we may see that Dreadhorde might not have as much power going forward. It may be a side deck tech, who knows what's coming out, but it definitely doesn't give somebody, and Bolas' Citadel being included with this as well, it doesn't give somebody a free let's get everything out of the graveyard kind of deal. And then there's the one other thing to think about going forward after this. The Immortal Sun is rotating, and again, we haven't seen much of this. Again, side deck tech. What are we going to do when there's not as many answers for Planeswalkers? There are a couple of answers in terms of what you have. The jail spells, for instance, Prison Realm being a huge one right now, and you have Elder Spell in black right now. But beyond that, not a ton of answers to Planeswalkers going forward, and it makes me wonder what kind of answers they're going to print to that once Immortal Sun rotates, because these Planeswalkers cannot continue to be this powerful, especially with the fact that we are, again, losing Sagas. So now it's going to be the Age of the Planeswalkers, and what types of answers are going to be printed to that? Mono red, always going to be good against it, because most of the time mono red is going to kill the opponent. We're still going to have that lovely, or not lovely, depending on your perspective, Runaway Steam Cane and Experimental Frenzy package. So going forward, answers to Planeswalkers, and I know you love Planeswalkers Roguelink. I've seen your decks. How is that going to impact the format if there aren't as many answers to Planeswalkers immediately post-rotation?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to be pretty strong. But I think that's kind of, it's interesting because there's a War of the Sparks in a weird space, and there's been a bunch of interviews about it. And especially for the limited environment, they didn't want to print too much bounce. And they wanted to print a decent amount of Planeswalker removal, but not so much that you felt like you couldn't play Planeswalkers. With 2020 coming out and the fall set, it'll be interesting to see what they print as Planeswalker removal without worrying about damaging their Planeswalker heavy set.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that thing about Core 2020, because I thought we were going to get something similar to War of the Spark when I saw the spoilers, but if somebody had mentioned it's just going to be Chandra, I really hope Chandra doesn't go out in the lore, but that's a whole different, that's a whole different can of worms. And then, why Chandra? Are they going to do, like, one
She's going to be the main character of the story.
Okay, alright, well that's actually good but bad after that main story arc fades out. That, again, that's another conversation.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, as someone called it in chat, I bet they're going to tie it in with the movie.
Yeah.
Or not the movie, the miniseries.
Oh.
Because she's on the art for the Netflix series.
Okay.
The age of Jace is over. The age of Chandra is here. Bolas
Honestly, I'm so down for that.
But if it's the Age of Chandra, the best Chandra Planeswalker is not out, and that was Torch of Defiance, and I had such a love for that Chandra, unlike any other Chandra I've seen.
Chandra?
I mean,
she comes down and gives your opponent an emblem, and if you can't deal 8 damage to her, she deals your opponent another emblem.
I mean, I cannot wait for the deck that makes it work properly. I like the fact it can't be countered. That's what I was talking to Auth about the other day, who even has a mild interest in Magic.
Wait, it can't be countered?
It can't be countered.
The Mythic can't be countered. That's its enchantment.
Okay, I need to look at these cards.
Go look at your spoilers, folks. They're on where I currently go is magicspoiler.com. If you would like to see any of the spoilers right now, my only beef with the current Chandra is it's 6-drop, but maybe it's because it's that broken that it needs to be a 6-drop. It will definitely be going in any red commander deck I have for sure.
Oh man, I love this cycle. It's so flavorful. He just gets more fire. This is great.
And last off, are we going to be seeing any answers to Control anytime soon? I do feel like, for lack of a better way of putting it, Control is out of control. I think there's too many Teferis in format right now, which will be fixed once Dominaria rotates. What do we do to fix the Control situation? It's just, it's so frustrating to play against if you're trying to play at the Mythic level in Arena currently.
That's honestly really hard to say, because the, Control's always going to be there in some form. It's just a matter of how it slowly shifts and molds over time. So I think until spoiler season starts, it's really hard to say. I think it's going to be more a matter of which style of control is Wizards going to start rotating towards, and what kind of decks are we going to have to counter that? Because there's definitely a lot of things that you can do to counter control, but the question, it's really hard to say. They have so many options, it's really hard to say before we get a general idea.
I would like to see the format ideally meet back in the middle, so we have aggro mid decks and mid control decks. I feel like that might be a good spot for everyone to be in at that point. You know, it'd be nice to play a game and not have it be over by turn 4. Or if you don't win by turn 4, it's over because control has begun to do its thing. So again, want to see a little more flavor brought into Magic. I know Wizards won't let us down. They've been reading the meta lately. So my final thought for this evening, unless you all have another topic you'd like to talk about, is if you are going to run the ladder, you can run the 2 extremes. Again, mono red, some form of white, mono white would be good. And then, of course, on the other extreme, you have Dread Horde manipulation and Esper control, Esper heroes being a variant of that. If you want to do anything in the middle, you are basically racing to Nissa Hurrah, who shakes the world, because Nissa is really powerful and I do feel like has defined the mid-range of this format. So anyways, I'll leave this for everybody to think of while we wrap up here.
That's interesting. I don't know what we're gonna see with the format with 2020. I'm far more interested to actually see what's going to happen to the limited format of 2020 with Planeswalkers at Uncommon, because I love limited formats, especially core set limited formats, because they really boil the game down to its basic elements.
Oh yeah, I love core limited.
So like it's one of my favorite ways to play. I love drafting is my favorite way to play the game. And core set drafting is just so good because you don't have to worry about whatever the mechanics are of the set. It's just like you build the best deck and you play, and the better players usually win out. It's so good. So with uncommon planeswalkers, I'm interested to see the new normal, quote unquote, for a core set draft and how that's gonna play into things. But yeah, that's all I've really got to think. That's my only real thought towards the format, because without seeing spoilers, I don't like to speculate too much. I'm bad about that.
I was going to suggest everybody write down one thing about the speculation for Core 2020. It could be about limited, could be about standard, could be about what type of answers are going to be printed. If you have any kind of predictions, that's something that I would like everyone to think about between now and Core 2020, so we can laugh about how much we were wrong, because I always have a good time doing that.
I predict that there will be at least one Planeswalker with 3 different cards, one of each rarity. You heard it here first.
What's the third?
We're going to see a return target planeswalker card from the graveyard to the battlefield in Core 2020. Not anything else. It's not going to target creatures or anything. It's just be specifically for planeswalkers. And it'll be in black.
Well, here's the scary thing about core sets. Anything, obviously there's reserved lists and blah, 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 blah. You know the argument there. Anything can get reprinted that's not on the reserved list, though. So, the core sets, and this is why I was so sad when the core sets went away, and you wonder why they went away. You can't help but wonder if Wizards uses the core set as a means to very much shake up the meta, which again, we admit will be impossible to do until things rotate in the fall. But I think Wizards is going to print 2020 in mind. Now remember, they look at these sets months and months and months in advance. They already know some of the cards that are going to be printed this fall. They are looking forward as to how Core 2020 is going to shake up the meta post-Dominaria, post-Ixalan. The only problem is, in doing so, it might break the format a little bit when they print the card, until they rotate those cards out.
Well, that's a possibility.
that is probably my prediction. It's going to break this format further. It's going to send the aggro and the control to the extreme again, because here's my evidence. Look at what Teferi Time Raveler did to the format. It made control even more control-y. Heck, it even gives control a problem. That's how terribly good, we'll call it, Teferi Time Ravelers. So that's my prediction. It's going to push things to the even further extremes, make a really fun limited format, and then when rotation happens this fall, we will know why Wizards printed the cards that they did in Core 2020.
Good predictions. All right. So, what else do I have to talk about before we get out of here? Next week, we're going back to traditional standard best of threes. So you can play this crazy optimized aggro control format that's out there doing crazy things. Week after that, going to be GDQ. We won't be doing anything on this channel. Instead, we're going to be doing stuff at GDQ. So come see me at GDQ. I'll have I don't know, maybe some Ravnica Allegiance to draft. I'm talking to some people about getting some packs and having some drafts in the board game room. So,
oh yeah,
look out for me. I'll be, you know me at GDQ because I'm walking around wearing red and with all the hair on my head, like the big hairy guy in the red shirt. It's easy, simple. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? You guys have anything else to say before we get out of here for the week?
I do want to thank everybody for stopping by. We very much appreciate this. We are growing Team Instant Speed. We're hoping to be able to do even more with this in the future. And please let us know if you would like to participate in these community events. There is a Discord. Please don't be shy. There are people of all different skill levels who play these, and it's a lot of fun. And if standard isn't your thing, if you don't have all the cards, we do have singleton weeks, we have pauper weeks. There is a format for everyone. Don't be afraid to get in here and have some fun.
Yeah, the Wednesday nights have 0 stakes in them, not even in the microwave. No stakes at all. We just have fun playing Magic
in the microwave.
You can ask Sakura Tsubasa a question about that, and there's like a 20-minute video explaining about how she cooked a steak in the microwave.
Why would you do that?
I want a stream starting soon. Next time we do a stream next week, we can have the basic information on there. I now want a steak on a grill, and we can just all watch that while we're getting set up. All right.
Now I'm hungry. What have you done?
The best one is to have a stream scene that's just a stream running, so you can stream the stream while you're setting up.
It's just a sizzling steak on loop.
Yes. You know, like the fireplace on loop? No, that's done. That's like 2015. We're going to do steaks on a grill. That's going to be like the new calming, relaxing thing before we start stream, right?
Oh, man.
Bonus points if it slowly catches on fire.
Yes.
Anyway. That will bring us to the end of another Wednesday Night Magic. We will see you all back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. What is that, 6 p.m. on the West Coast?
That is 6 p.m. on the West Coast, yes.
Okay, math is hard. Time is an illusion.
Time's weird.
Again,
we'll just go with that.
Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Discord. It doesn't only have to be Wednesday nights. We have lively discussion. If you have any questions, if there's something interesting you noticed in a match, we want to hear about it. Post your stories on Discord. And maybe in the future, maybe we can do some kind of like talk segment at the beginning or at the end, depending, you know, because there's a lot going on in Magic. I'm interested in discussing it, especially as I begin to sink into that pro circuit a little bit. I'm seeing the game in ways I haven't seen it before. Clifford does a lot of the limited format, it sounds like, whenever he can, so there's that perspective as well. And Roguelink does everything.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All right, folks. It's been wonderful here again. Twitter at Team Instant Speed, and then here, of course, please follow Speed Gaming, and then also please join our Discord as well. I guarantee it's about as fun as we have here every Wednesday night. Thank you again.
Y'all have a wonderful night. We'll see you next week.
See y'all next time.